every day. Like I consider myself a YouTuber, guys. And every day, if something pops into my head and I'm like, that would be uncomfortable to do, you know, I would have to step outside my comfort zone to do that, to be kind to that person, to reach out. Now what I'm doing is I do that. So yesterday I reached out to Haritos. I said, look, I had a dream. The Haritos was like in vending machines, like a Japan style. I've only been to Japan once. And I was like, that's the one thing I loved was the vending machines. I was like, yo, Haritos. I reached out to them on YouTube because I said, you know what? I'm a YouTuber, guys. I'm this YouTuber, guys. Good morning, guys. I love you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me. You know, I do appreciate Xbox and the future of housing and gaming. You know, I realized the gaming industry is bigger than the movie and music industry combined. And it's only a matter of time before people start to realize, hey, who's carrying this ship? Who's carrying this? Who's paddling in this boat? Who's aura farming? Shout out to all the aura farmers out there. Especially that one kid. You know, I was like, dude, you know, I can look, I could say I'm in my mid-40s. I was talking to my wife. I'm like, look, you know, when you're younger, people can tell you all kinds of stuff. You know, if someone's half my age, they can tell me, they can guide me. But I say, look, there's just something to living a certain amount of years and realizing, hey, you know, it's different. My body's not doing what it used to do. You know, and life changes. We all kind of go through these stages. You know, you start a family, you have kids, you do your thing. I don't know, not everyone does that, but I'm just saying, you know, I think there's some truth to like maybe having like centenarians here on YouTube, you know, like going through and being like, you know what, maybe some of these people that are, you know, that's where I don't agree. I listened to an interview of a gentleman who was discussing or speaking about the president of Cameroon and him winning the election. Excuse me, I forget the gentleman's name, who's currently the president, but he was already discussing running again. So in Cameroon, the presidency is 8 years, but then you start running again on your 7th year. So in 2032, he's going to run again, and he'll be 99 years old. And he already said he wants to run again. And I said, you know what? How amazing would it be if there was a centenarian president? Not only that, what if he was just really sharp, you know, like mentally, you know, and the gist of the interview was the gentleman was trying to say that, you know, somebody at that age can't have a future. You can't be looking towards the future because you're getting ready to pass away. And I'm like, well, first of all, no one knows when they're going to die. I could die, you know, today. That doesn't mean that I can't plan and prepare for the future. Today could be my last day here on Earth. You know, that's something outside of my control. You know, and that's where there has to be a distinction. You know, I believe that all the gifts, all of them, no matter, even if I worked really, 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 really hard for something, everything that I have, it's because God allowed it to happen. That's what I believe. Not everyone has to believe that. Some people believe that they're in control, that they can make the sun and the moon and the stars rise and fall. And I don't believe that I have control over that. So I don't know how I got on that. Because I think it would be cool. Sorry. So the president, a shout out to the president of Cameroon. I just started following him. He's got a YouTube channel. So a shout out to him. I hope his YouTube channel grows. I love YouTube because, you know, regardless of your financial situation, you know, all the streaming services, Netflix, you know, Hulu, YouTube, but I was just saying all the streaming services, you know, you have to pay. And obviously, you know, you're paying for a service, but YouTube has always been there for me as a free service to watch at the basic level. I'm saying that, you know, there's memberships and stuff on YouTube, but I'm saying that I appreciate YouTube because it's always been there. Even when I didn't have, say, resources to hypothetically pay for cable TV, I've never really had cable, but I'm just saying the equivalent of cable because now Netflix owns Warner Brothers, right? I say shout out to Netflix. Or we came full circle. I think Thomas Jefferson's right. Every 20 years, there's a revolution, whether it's physically or in the mind. And then things change. I'm like, look, I'm like, wait, wasn't I here 20 years ago? Wasn't this occurring? Was that Y2K thing? Are we doing that all over again? Okay, I'm just messing around. Thank you guys. I didn't have a point today's video other than to say that I appreciate you. And I see you out there making content as well. And I say, and even if you're not, say you're just like watching it, consuming it, because at the end of the day, if you're seeing what I'm creating, you consume content as well. And if you create it, I say thank you. And if you just consume it, I say thank you as well. So we're slowly easing into December. Christmas is coming. And I'm like, you know what? What if there were ornaments? What if someone did ornaments with like old game console cartridges? Not like mess them up, but like what if you just made it where you could hang it on a tree and then people could come by and then be like, look, there you go. No, because sometimes I feel bad, I'm like all this stuff, like I've been watching a lot of Japanese YouTube, and I'm like all this older, vintage, older, it's like 20, 30 years, but I'm just saying older consoles. Like I want to see those consoles like fired up, electricity running through their veins, you know what I'm saying? What if accelerated intelligence said, you know what, we need to power all these older computer chips, make sure that they can communicate, there's a language being spoken. That's why I love electric cars. I don't know if I can go back to a gas-powered car, an ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine. And the reason for that is just I've switched. I really, really enjoy. Now I feel like, I grew up in the Bay Area. I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I rode BART a lot, and shout out to Bart Simpson and the BART train. And, electricity just has this little hum to it. And so now I'm like, when I'm driving around in my electric car, I'm like, I feel like I'm home, and that's where some of those things, they can't be translated and quantified onto a piece of paper to allow you to understand that. Maybe you can just open your mind and say, you know what? There's a little piece of home in that electric car. And this gentleman that I'm listening to is telling me about it. And so I think the Honda Prelude is who is that car made for? That's made for the people who've already transitioned to electric. And Honda's trying to say, you know what? Maybe there is some value to an ICE engine. No, that's my opinion. I'm like, they're trying to rein some people back, I think. Bring them back from electric. No, because I really do appreciate electric. And now I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I could see myself ever really owning or driving. I know, I think they're cool. I'm not anti internal combustion is what I'm saying. I've owned cars that are amazing. There's cars that I see out there that I'm like, that's an amazing car. But I'm like, I myself have just transitioned internally. And like, I enjoy my personal journey on where I'm going. So I say shout out to Reddy's Rides. I hope one day you consider an electric car for one of the cars you drive on a daily. So that would be my suggestion to your wife. I'm like, look, was there an electric car, at least in the 90s? I know Joe wants an electric car. No, sorry, a 90s car, excuse me, not an electric car. But I was like, is there an electric car? No. I think, you know what, though? That would be so messed up if Lori bought Mr. Reddy's Rides an electric car, because I feel like he wouldn't be anticipating that as a 90s dream car. But look, I watched that video with Mel Gibson talking about the future, and he sold me on it. I remember that was the 90s. And look, I think we've come a long way with electric cars. It's been a slow and steady progression. Thank you. I'm sorry, I had nothing for you guys. I just wanted to share because I have the ability to, and I enjoy connecting and communicating with you guys. People, myself even included. Sometimes I try to be positive. I try to play a little, I know there's mental traps to negativity, but then there's also ways that you can promote positivity within your own mind. So I try to give myself presents that are things that I already own. I'm like, look, you should be grateful for this. Let me wrap this again and give it to myself. So That's what I'm doing right here on YouTube. Metaphorically speaking, I'm wrapping up YouTube and I'm saying, this is a great gift that I have for myself and the rest of the world to enjoy. Thank you. I love you. God bless. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, sorry. No, but seriously, let's see. Oh, what do I have in my cart? Okay, we just got this game. Oh, I can't share. See, Well, ironically, we met in this Xbox talk room. No, that's what I'm trying to do. Xbox talk. So this Stunt Paradise. Okay, so we have 3 hours in. I'm really enjoying this game, and it's really reaffirming for me that I've always believed that you shouldn't have to memorize a bunch of buttons and combinations and all this stuff. Like, if a game can be fun with one button or two buttons, then I'm like, look, that's where it's at. So this Stunt Paradise, it's basically one button or two. Well, the car. So it's basically one button for one hand, and you have the gas and the brake, and then you can control the car and the angle of the car's approach. And so I'm like, look, I like it. I appreciate it. 2 hours in, 3 hours and 22 minutes in. I think it's a great game. There, see, I'm on topic. I didn't clickbait you. I'm talking about video games. Thank you. I'm sticking with Game of the Year, Indiana Jones. That's my vote. Okay, guys. I'll see you on the next one. What else should I say? Oh, look, I don't want to leave you guys. Look, I just no, you hang up. Okay, shout out to, what was that song? I want to say Aragon. Shout out to Aragon from Lord of the Rings. Aragon Hills, I think, from Dojo Cats, I think. Look, I'm going off my memory. Look, I could have planned everything ahead, but I'm not that kind of guy. Look, sometimes I like to talk as if I'm in the moment. So there you go. I love you guys. Thank you.